Hey guys, so real quick before the episode starts, let me introduce you to another series that I am doing here. You know, I'm always evolving and always growing, and I want you guys to evolve and grow with me also. I have introduced this new club, a part of the podcast. Yes, you heard me, a club. The Remedy Podcast, Sexy Women Read Too. I always wanted to be a part of a book club, but I wanted to be a part of a book club that wasn't just about reading and then we talk about the book and then that's it. That sounds boring as hell. So, let me ask you something. When was the last time you read a book that actually changed you? Not just entertained you, not just sat on your nightstand collecting dust, but challenged you, healed you, and made you feel seen. So, I want to welcome you guys to the Sexy Women Read Too from the Remedy Podcast. And this is not just, like I said, a regular book club. Sexy Women Read Too was never just about books. It's about women who are intentional about their growth. Women who are healing, evolving, unlearning, and still laughing through it all. Women who know that being sexy isn't just about how you look. It's about how you think, how you love, how you show up for yourself and for others. This book club is for women between ages of 25 to 45 who are ready for the more than surface level conversations. More than scrolling, more than surviving. In this space, we read fiction because stories stretch our imagination, help us escape, and remind us of our identity. And we read self-help and personal development as well because we believe in doing the work. We talk about boundaries, healing, relationships, purpose, soft life, hard truths, God, love, and the uncomfortable chapters we don't always post online. Basically everything that I talk about on this podcast. This isn't a read the book and disappear kind of club. Like I told you, I can't stand that. This is a show up, reflect, talk about it, apply it kind of space. And let me be very clear. This is for women who want real friendships. Women who are fun, creative, accountable. Women who will hype you up and lovingly call you higher. Women who understand that growth doesn't happen in isolation. Although isolation can feel comfortable, you don't always want to keep yourself there. You want to make sure you keep yourself around like-minded women. If you've been craving sisterhood, if you've outgrown some spaces but haven't found your new people yet, if you're, tired of pretending you're fine when you know you're evolving, this is your sign. And yes, we're taking this offline too. Once a year, I'm planning a girls trip. Yes, I am planning the girls trip. A space where the conversations continue, the laughter gets louder, the healing gets deeper, the drinks start flowing a little bit, and the memories last longer. Imagine being in a room or on a beach with women you've already connected with intentionally and emotionally. That's not accidental. That's intentional community. This is for women who are growing, women who are healing, women who are willing to be honest with themselves. Because let's be for real, there's only but so much that we can find on social media. This might not be for you if you're committed to staying in the same space, in the same mindset, just scared to move out, and that's okay. It may not be for you right now. But if you're open, curious, and evolving, you belong here. So, if your spirit has been nudging you toward deeper connection and deeper conversation, if you miss reading but want accountability, if you're ready to be a part of a community where sexy, smart, and healing coexist, join the Sexy Women Read Too book club. The link is waiting for you, and trust me, the next chapter, you don't want to read it by yourself. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. It's your girl, Shelly Nicole, with the Remedy Podcast. How's everyone doing? I hope everybody's having a great day, night, whenever you're listening to this. How was everybody's weekend? I hope everyone had a great weekend. What did I do this weekend? I don't even remember. I went to go see one of my godsons. I have 3 godsons, guys. It's crazy. It's insane. I have 3 god kids. So I seen one of them this weekend. Um, just, chopped it up with his mom, and, we talked and had a conversation. And then my other day off, I just stayed in the house. It snowed, and I chilled. That's it. I cleaned up, I washed my hair, I did laundry, I did domesticated things. I did a little bit of food shopping, paid bills, the grown woman shit. That's what I did. And then I went back to the gym. Please give me a round of applause. I went back to the gym. I stuck to my word. I told you guys I was going back, and I went back. Yes, I did. Friday, I went back to the gym. I went early in the morning. Me and Amanda went. She went before she went to work, and the girl said, "Yeah, no, I'm not doing this," which I get because she works late, and then having to wake up early, it's too much. So, but she came for the first time to welcome me back into the working out scenery. I'm trying to tell y'all, it was so hard getting back into that damn gym, but I knew I had to, so I made it happen. And then Sunday I went back. Saturday I didn't do that because I just, like I said, I had to get my house in order, get some things, throw out some things, and everything else that I had to do, like I just mentioned. But yeah, I didn't do much of anything, just watching my spending, getting, my life in order, really. But anyway, let's jump into this episode. So I guess you guys have all heard about the controversy, or I guess I don't know if it's even controversy, but what has actually happened with Desmond and Kristy. And it sparked a question that I had asked, I think it was Friday. I asked this question on the Instagram, and if you're not following it, go and follow it, the Remedy_podcast. Thank you very much. And I asked the question, can you stay with someone for 14 years? And some of the responses were actually funny. Somebody said, well, the question was, do you think you can stay with someone for 14 years? Someone said yes. Someone said, absolutely. If only I can meet someone who's worth staying with. Oh God. Someone else said, yeah, if she's still fun, if she's not boring, then no. I'm assuming that means if she's not boring, then yes. If she is fun, then you know what I mean. So that was the question that was posed. And there was a bunch of other ones, but obviously you know how Instagram goes. It goes away, so couldn't get to the rest of them. But mostly everybody said yes, they can stay with somebody for that long. But it's interesting that it's very interesting how some people will say yes, and then when moments like life happens, they change their minds, and now all of a sudden it's a no. And that's not to say that's what happened with Desmond and Kristy, because honestly, we really don't know what happened. We can only take from what Desmond mentioned, what he said, and go from there. So in today's episode, this is a conversation many of us didn't expect to have, but one we needed to have, because I guess it resonates with a lot of people. I mean, not just influencers or celebrities, just regular common people. When a relationship that spans over a decade comes to an end, it doesn't just affect the people involved. It affects the community watching, especially those who follow them and care about them, have called, their kids, their internet nephews, or Kristy is like the sister and Desmond is their brother, or, names that you've seen in the comments. You're learning from them and believing in love alongside of them. So while Desmond and Kristy were together for 14 years and married for 10, their recent separation and divorce, soon divorce, has sparked a lot of opinions, emotions, and assumptions online. But this episode isn't about gossip and choosing sides. I'm not choosing anybody's side because no one really knows what happens. It's about what long-term love really costs. What happens when people grow, change, and no longer align? And how do you process the ending of something we thought was meant to last forever? So let's talk about longevity, heartbreak, accountability, and the truth about being with the same person for the most of your adult life. Now, let's be honest here. When you place a relationship in the public eye, you also open yourself up to unsolicited opinions, assumptions, and advice. We all know that, right? I would hope everybody knows that. But not every part of a relationship is meant to be shared or dissected. And sometimes that that constant exposure can quietly take a toll on one person or sometimes even both. Many people, I believe many people have viewed Desmond and Kristy as a symbol of hope. Because, I mean, they're a young couple thriving in a generation where the belief of marriage and the belief of actually just finding a partner, like let's just forget the marriage, the belief of finding a honest partner feels fragile, and finding a lifelong partner even feels even more rare. So let's just put that out there, right? They represented the possibility in a time when commitment often feels uncertain, where people are not being honest about what they want and who they want, when people are confused, and when people are just outright not giving a damn and just using people. So now that their relationship has come to an end, it's left many people searching for answers, asking why. Because when hope disappears, it forces us to confront our own fears about love, longevity, and whether lasting commitment is still possible. Take all of the other influencers and celebrities that we like, and for some of us that we even look up to. How many of them have divorced or broken up? How many of them have separated? This episode is not about, again, it's not about taking sides. It's about the long-term relationships and what they really look like, what it really consists of, and how the change can be a good and a bad thing. So, growing up together versus growing apart, let's just be honest. People evolve in every decade. What one person may be like in their teens will not necessarily be who they are in their 20s, their 30s, 40s, and so on. It's a part of growing. We all evolve and we all change. Some things that you are okay with now at the age that you are currently, you will not be okay with in 10 years. You will not be okay with by next year. Hell, you may not be okay with it in a few months. But nonetheless, like I said, that's growth. That's change. We all have to grow. We all have to change. And a lot of times people try to ignore it. They don't want to. They like where they're at. They're scared for what this change and this growth will look like. And that's understandable. But for the most part, it's inevitable. We're all going to change. Sometimes people who are in relationships that last over a decade can be challenging. Longevity doesn't guarantee alignment. You have to be ready to deal with the changes and the realization that not everyone will grow at the same speed or down the same path as you will. Everyone is not going to have the same type of mindset. What you are looking for in the next 5 years can be something completely different from what the other person is looking for in the next 5 years. Life as we know it, life as we see it now, is changing so fast. There are so many things happening in the world right now. Literally, outside of relationships and outside of love, there is so many stressful moments that we can just turn on our phone and we can just see it. We can look on the news and it's broadcasted right there. So not everyone is going to be, when it comes to a relationship, in the same mindset as you. But where all of the confrontation and the nastiness and the ugliness of it all can be avoided is if people communicate. So I ask you the question, right? Can you outgrow someone you genuinely love? Is staying together always proof of success or sometimes proof of fear? Those are my 2 questions for you guys to answer. And I'm going to ask the question, well, I'm going to put the question down on the TikTok and on Instagram for you guys to answer because I want to know. I feel like you can outgrow someone who you genuinely love. You can love someone and honestly feel like they're not your person. You can love someone and you can love them for who they are as a person, but just not for, they're just not the right one for you. I believe that. It took me a while to believe that, honestly. I always thought that, like, oh, well, if you're going to say you love me, then that means that you'll do anything for me. And people outgrow each other. People change. People evolve. People turn into different people, and it doesn't necessarily make them a bad person. It just, that's where they are in life. That's who they are. And you have to leave them where they're at. I love using that phrase this year. Leave them where they're at. And then to answer the other question, is staying together always proof of success? No, it's not. A lot of the times it is proof of fear. It is proof that you don't have the willpower to get up and go. That you want to put your person first before you put yourself first. And at some point, because I've seen it, I've witnessed it myself. I'm not saying anything that I have not heard, that I have not seen. Marriages that should have ended years ago, relationships that should have been over years ago that are now over, that are coming to an end, that both parties or one person in the party is saying, I should have done this years ago, or I should have put me first. Because they live with regret, they live with being unhappy, they live with the shame or the guilt or the hatred even. It can even get to the point where people, they will hate their partner, they'll hate their spouse because why did I stay in this? I should have left. I should have never stayed with you this whole entire time. Instead of taking the blame on themselves, like, hey, maybe you were the root cause of this. Maybe you should have actually disappeared. But just because you stay with someone for so long does not mean that you're doing anything to prove that you can stay with someone for a very long time. If you're uncomfortable, if everything is not working out, what is time? What does that have anything to do with it? The weight of history. Now, when I thought about the weight of history, being with someone for 14 years means you're sharing trauma, you're sharing milestones, routines, and memories. It's leaving a version of yourself and not just the person. You are literally transforming in front of each other's eyes. And while for some people it can work, for majority it can't. I know a couple who has literally been with each other since had really puppy love. They were friends for a very long time, and then through high school they became a couple, and then I think they went their own way during college, and then they found themselves back together. And I had asked them one time, I think I mentioned this before, I had asked them, what made you guys keep coming back to each other? And the guy said, well, I dated other women, but none of them just added up to her. I've always had this soft spot for her. She was always a person who I said I was going to marry and who I was going to be with. But I also wanted us to explore what else was out there. And that is the most selfless thing that I can honestly agree to. Because I personally feel like if you're going to be with someone, being with someone for that long, and I'm talking about being with someone for that long at a young age. I'm not talking about being married with them. I'm not talking about you guys found each other and now you're together for 14 years. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is being with someone as from a teenager all the way up until you're 30, or being with someone in your 20s all the way up until like your early 20s, all the way up until your 30s or 40s. I feel like that doesn't give anybody enough time to, or experience to see what else is out there. I'm not saying to go fuck everything that's walking. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is to see what it is you like. What turns you on, what turns you off. What kind of guy or girl you're into, what kind of guy or girl you're not into. Sticking with one person, I feel like, is limiting yourself for that long from a very young age. You're limiting yourself from what could possibly be out there to then open the door to infidelity, to cheating, to wanting to escape because you never had that chance to do so. Walking away from everything that you built and put time in can lead you to feeling guilty and pressure to stay when you really want to leave. Do what is best for you and for your growth, for yourself, for your energy, not who you were. Walking away is hard. Trust me, I know. But I will say that every time that I walked away from a relationship, I walked away because I gave it my all. I did everything that I possibly could do to stick around and to think of all the positive times and all the great moments. But when you feel like you're the only one trying to make things work, it's exhausting. You feel like you're in this by yourself. And when you notice that your partner is not trying to help either, that doesn't make it any better either. You want someone to fight with you just as much as you're fighting with them. In a good way, not in a bad way, obviously. So what happens when one person wants out? The emotional imbalance when one person or one partner is done and the other isn't is a hard tug of war to go through. You want to fight and it feels like the other person has given up. But sometimes it's not them giving up on you. The harsh truth is, it's them evolving into someone else who needs more or less of what you have to offer them. It's them seeing that within themselves, they deserve more, or they're not sure what they deserve, and they don't want to put you through their inconsistency. And this is somebody who is honest with themselves. This is someone who doesn't want to necessarily hurt you. They know it's going to hurt you by leaving. They understand that. But they also know that if they stay, they're going to not only hurt you, but they're going to hurt themselves. And it doesn't make them selfish. It makes them selfless when they're acknowledging that there is something else that they need that they cannot find right here at this moment. And I'm not saying it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt when they leave. It's going to bother you. It's going to make you feel like and question yourself, like, what could I have done better? What could I have done wrong? Don't ask yourself that. Because if what you have to offer is not enough for that person, then let them go find whoever it is that they need to find. It's not for you to question your values and what you bring to the table and what you have to offer. If they don't see it, that's on them. Let them go figure it out. Because maybe you don't have enough for them to offer. Maybe what you have to offer is not enough for them. And like I said, that is okay. But let them figure that out. Don't think that it's always you, that you're the problem, because you may not be the problem all the time. Now, divorce and separation is often decided internally long before it's announced. The one thing I noticed when Desmond came out with this statement was everybody seemed to emphasize him saying he is not proud of what he has done, which we can all assume if I keep yawning. What the heck? We can all assume is cheating during the separation, because in my mind, after reading his statement, it sounded as if, well, basically what we had all failed, or most people had failed to look at, which I noticed, but what most people failed to look at was that he had asked for the divorce. He wanted out. There's a possibility that during the separation, he messed up. So while she may have said, or they both may have agreed that, hey, let's not do this divorce thing yet. Let's see, can we fix it? What we can do? Maybe possibly they were going to therapy, whatever they may have been doing to get themselves back into who they were, into the marriage and the relationship that they had. Possibly he had messed around at the time, and it didn't make it any better once obviously she found out. And then that's when she said, okay, yes, let's go with the divorce because you got me fucked up. Why would you do that? That's the only way that I had looked at what he had said and took that as that's what could have possibly happened. Validating the shock and the grief of a partner who, for the person who didn't see this coming, like Kristy. Again, I want to say like probably the initial separation, the initial, hey, I want to get a divorce, shocked her more than probably what was done during the separation. And not to say that didn't hurt, but just hearing that after we seen them post videos all of late last year during the holidays, for them to say, or for him to then say, you know what, hey, I want to get a divorce. And again, this is just us knowing that he possibly just did this. They could have had this whole separation thing going on, and he probably asked for this divorce a long time ago, and we're just now finding out about it. So who really knows? But when one person wants out, it kind of like a stab in the face in the back almost, because you don't see it coming. It's like a stab in the back. You don't see it coming. You're not aware of it. For some people you can, because you notice the changes in their mood and how they've been acting, but for the most part, a lot of people don't see it coming. So, like I just mentioned, the infidelity, allegations, and public judgment, we have no idea, right? We have no idea what is or was going on behind closed doors. We have seen the video, we've seen the recent video of him kissing this mystery woman. What was her name? Megan something or other. And not sure if this was just a moment in time, like, when people are drinking too much and then they end up kissing and yada yada, slapping each other down in the club, or if this was something that has been going on for a while. He is now obviously being publicly shamed for doing it, and what he wants to do after, I guess, being publicly shamed for what he already in his mind was ready to do, to just live a life outside of being Kristy's husband, to explore other options, to explore other women. He was waiting for this moment to just release himself from the marriage and the relationship that he was in for so long. And of course, social media often, makes him the villain. But real relationships are more complex, right? Real relationships are more, there's more to the story than we know. There's more to this than we'll probably ever know. He may never come to the defense and having to say anything, and he's not obligated to do so. So let's just get that out the way too. They're both not obligated to tell us anything. We don't have to know shit. But if they end up telling us, let's just take what they're saying and not try to switch the words and change around what was said and what they really meant. No, they meant exactly what they said. That's what it was. The alleged infidelity feels painful, right? To see and to observe from the outside looking in, but also for the person that's already in the relationship. Because for the one who wanted to make it work, still has deep feelings for the person and the marriage or the relationship. And to see that someone actually moved on, it's a stab in the back. It hurts. Because now you know that there is no way, at least right now, that you two can be together. Because they've already made their choice to move forward and to move on. The pedestal problem. So people tend to hold celebrities and influencers on a high, super high pedestal that they do not belong on, if I'm being really freaking honest, right? No one on social media should be your relationship goal. I've said that a million times. There is no one who you are looking up to that should be your relationship goal. You can take pointers. You can take some things that you may like that happen that obviously they show you in the relationship, but to ever say that you want something or someone else's relationship to be your goal should never be it. Because clearly we see we're looking at a couple who, like I said, was together for a very long time, going through the shit that they're going through. And not just them, we've seen Beyonce and Jay-Z go through stuff. You know how many people I've heard say that, oh, I want Jay-Z and Beyonce relationship. I want my relationship to look like this. I want my relationship. Stop. Cut it out. Because obviously, like I said, we don't know what's going on. We're unaware of all of that's taken place. Fighting for a relationship is harder than what most expect. And I don't think a lot of people understand that, because it takes grit and it takes gut to really hold on to something that is ultimately over. When they fail, we take it personal, as if we are, or as if they are not humans themselves, that they too are not going through their own life changes, their own ups and downs, their own issues that they're facing with one another, and also with now social media and the public seeing their relationship. And I think the best thing that I have noticed is Kristy didn't say anything yet. And she probably will never say nothing, and that's fine. But there's no reason why we're holding celebrities and their relationships and what they have going on to a high standard than it needs to be. Let them be people. It's great to look at them and say, oh my God, you know, you've helped me with this, and you helped. That's fine. But to sit here and put them higher than where they should be, and not to have the sympathy or the empathy to say, like, you know what, they're going through shit just as much as I do, is weird. So what does, or what could this teach long-term couples? Love is not enough for someone to stick around. Communication, honesty, and the willingness to evolve together matters. You cannot stay just because of love. You cannot stay just because of the children. You cannot stay just because, and yes, I said it, you cannot stay just because of the children. No, I don't have kids. No, I don't need to have kids in order to understand it. It is a simple thought process for myself. This is just my opinion. I rather see my children see me and their father happy separated in new relationships than to see bullshit and controversy and arguments and trauma and the back and forth, the yelling, and all the things that they're going to pick up for themselves, all the things that they now are going to have to unlearn because they've seen mom and dad do it. I'd rather us be the best of friends, co-parenting, than being in a relationship or being in a marriage just because we don't want the world or our family to see that we separated. Don't just stay because of time. I never stayed where I wasn't wanted or felt disrespected once I found my willpower to leave and love me more than the relationship. Time doesn't mean anything. I've mentioned this plenty of times, I was in an on and off relationship for 5 years. It was mostly on than it was off, but nonetheless, it was an on and off relationship. And I finally told myself, you know what, I'm done. I was in a 2.5-year relationship until I decided to say, yeah, I'm done with the disrespect. At some point, you have to look at what you're accepting and understand that whatever you're accepting is how you see yourself, is a reflection of how you see your own, how you look at yourself, basically, is what I'll say. It's hard. I'm not going to say that it's not, because it is. It's difficult to leave, especially somebody who you love, who you care about, who you made plans with. It's very hard. But the peacefulness that you get after you leave, after the crying, after the slight depression, after the woe is me, after the sad songs, after the eating everything or not eating anything at all, in about 3 to 4 days, you find yourself again. And then within a week, you're good. Yeah, you're still thinking about them. Yes, you still miss them. Yes, you wish that they were still here. Yes, you're asking yourself, did you make the right decision? But the peace and the comfort that you feel doesn't compare to you staying somewhere where you're not wanted. And I understand that staying for the family and for the children is harder to walk away from. So let me just really be honest with that. I'm not saying like before, like what I said about staying for children. I understand. I get it is way harder to do because ultimately you don't want to. You've built a home with someone who you thought you would be with forever, and now you're looking at 2 different pills. Do you take the blue pill and that one just tells you to stay, or do you take the red pill that tells you to start over? It's hard. It's definitely hard. But again, I would not want my children to see chaos. I would want my children to see peace. I would want my children to see like mommy and daddy did something that was best for them, and it still was best for the both of us, for the children as well. And they see happiness and they see love and they see what genuine love between two people can look like for their mother and for their father. And if you're fighting for your relationship, look into couples therapy. If you really don't want to let this relationship go, if you really, I really want this to work. I really want to keep her. I really want to stay with him. I love him. I love her. I don't want this to end. I don't want to go through a divorce. I don't want my children to have us separated in different homes. Go seek couples therapy. And then also do individual therapy. Because I feel like couples therapy is great for the both of you to have your conversations as to what's missing in the relationship. But I also feel like you need to do individual, because there may be something that you're bringing into the relationship, especially if you never did therapy before. There may be something that you're bringing into the relationship that's causing for the problems to happen, that only you and the therapist can break down and find out how you can stop it and what you need to release. So for The partner left behind. I understand 100% the grief, the embarrassment, the anger, and now having to rebuild your identity. You have to start over, and starting over can be very scary. Most women do something as far as cutting their hair or dyeing their hair, or, to start the healing process, they do something transformational. While men normally go straight to the gym and they just, they do a whole different transformation, working out their anger and their stress, or they just take it to the club. One or the other. We all hurt and deal with hurt in different ways. But it's okay for you to sit in it. It's okay for you to cry. It's okay for you to be sad. It's okay for you to go out and hang out. But just don't stay there for too long. It's okay for you to feel like what happened and question your own actions, but don't stay there forever. Losing someone who you love is so much can feel like losing stability, losing your future plans and self-worth. You have planned out everything for the next 5 years together, and once all of your goals are met, there will be another 5-year plan that you guys will meet. But now that it's just you have to pivot. And that pivot is to go straight to watering your own plans and finding out what makes you happy now. Figuring out what you need to keep yourself going. Healing doesn't require understanding everything. It just means that you're accepting what it is. You'll be okay, and you will be in a better position soon. And it will all make sense at some point or another. But give yourself time to feel all the emotions. And for the partner who leaves, just because you left doesn't mean you're evil. In some cases, it means that you put yourself first after putting someone else first for a very, very long time. And most of the time, you have tried to find the peace in making them first in your life. When that cannot be fulfilled, the next best thing to do is to leave. But let's not be naive here. Let's not forget. Taking accountability still matters, even if you did choose to leave. Where did you go wrong? Understanding the pain that you have just caused your partner to feel. Know that you will be labeled the villain, regardless if it was their fault for being there or if it was your fault for staying for too long. You're the one that left. But do not be too hard on yourself. It was for the best. They'll see it too when the time is right. But understand that you too must take accountability where you messed up, where you failed in the relationship, where you allowed the relationship to fall. I say all of that to say this. A relationship ending doesn't erase what it was or what it gave. Sometimes the bravest thing isn't staying. It's being honest with yourself and with your partner when it's time to let go. Sometimes it's choosing you rather than choosing someone else that you've been choosing for way too long. And it doesn't mean that you don't love them. It doesn't mean that they never loved you. It just means that they are loving them a little bit more. It just means that they may need to find themselves. It just means that your paths are not aligning. You're going to the left and he's going to the right. She's moving further left. You're moving further right. And it doesn't have to get ugly. Not every breakup, not every divorce, not every separation has to be ugly. It can be amicable. It can be peaceful. But communicate and talk about what it is that you both need in order to make this divorce, to make this separation, to make this breakup something that's not so disgusting. At the end of the day, you need to do what's right for you. Of course, we should try our hardest to make it work. No one likes to see relationships and no one wants to see divorce. But when one person is over it, what do? Do you stay for the family, for the image, or do you put yourself first? I really hope anybody who's going through something like this finds it within themselves to see the help that they need, to talk to the friends that they need to talk to let go of the plans that they had and understand that God's plans are way bigger than our own. That sometimes God does he does these things, he do these things that forces us to separate. He puts blockers, or he pushes us away from one another because there's something bigger for each of us. And we don't really know what it is, obviously, at the time, but in time we eventually see it. After a while we notice it. So you're not alone if you're going through this. If you're just like Desmond and Kristy and you're facing this uphill battle of possibly being separated or getting a divorce or just leaving a relationship, starting the new year off with yourself after giving so many years to a relationship that just didn't suit you or didn't fulfill you anymore, it's okay. It is fine. Life is too short to be living just for one sole purpose if that purpose no longer fulfills you or no longer aligns with you. If something is constantly telling you this is not it, listen to that voice. It's telling you something for a reason. I love you guys for listening. I hope you guys have a great night. Whatever happened today, leave it into today. Don't bring that shit into tomorrow. I will see y'all on the next episode. Later.